Alright you guys, welcome back. It's Mr. Eddie Barber. Welcome back to the YouTube Barber Academy, and today we're going to talk about a skin fade tutorial. But before I go into this in-depth tutorial, I just wanted to plug a couple of people that I think are great and I think you guys should go check out. One of them is the Barber. Also, I want to say thank you to Ron Legend for giving me some products. If you guys don't know, just go ahead and check him out. His products are pretty dope. They work great. And yeah, thanks again, Ron. So go check out his channel. That's Ron. And thirdly, I want to tell you guys to go and follow MMA Barbers, because MMA Barbers is who I'm going to be hosting a podcast with on Wednesday night. That will be Wednesday, July 10th at 9:30 p.m. So we're going to be doing that, and I want you guys to go ahead and join me, because Mickey Serrano never claimed his fast feeds, therefore he has lost the ability to get the fast feeds, and I'm going to give them away again, and I'm going to be giving them away live on that podcast. So whoever's in there, whoever's commenting, we're going to ask some questions and we're going to pick a winner. I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but yeah, you're going to want to go ahead and click subscribe and click that notification bell and stick around, because we're doing giveaways all the time. And also do the same thing for MMA Barbers. Now, there's a couple other people that I should probably be thanking and I can't think of, but you know, Rum Barber is pretty dope. You might want to check those guys out too. And let's get on with the tutorial. Before I go into the tutorial, first I just want you guys to get your clippers, whatever you're going to use. I'm of course using the 50 cals, my personal favorite clipper. And some of these things that I see students struggling with is they're not holding it flat. So if you notice, the blade is curved on the number one. So flat is obviously not going to be here, it's going to be here. You're going to want to hold it flat and flush, and a lot of times you'll see me using the crisscross motion. We're going to go ahead and start this tutorial off so that you guys can pull off this skin fade, and we're going to begin by using a number 5 on the top, and I'm going to be leading it with the comb. Now, the way that I like to handle everything above a number 2 is usually with clipper over comb, and there's also times where you can use guards to accomplish this process, but clipper over comb is going to be the fastest, which is why I'm going to direct you guys over to the chart. And it's just very important that you understand how this chart works. So just real quickly, we have a 2 at the very top, and all these things, the way they line up together is what's important here. So obviously a 2 closed, a 1.5 open, which is what I'm using right now in the tutorial. I got the 1.5 open, and I'm going to remove some of this bulk. I do like to go in there and put my skin line in right away when I'm able to see what I'm doing, but if I can't see what I'm doing, I need to make it so that I'm able to see what I'm doing. I got to get rid of some of that bulk, and I'm going to put in that skin line. So once I've done so, I'm going to put in the skin line with my 38 specials today, and that's going to be the 5-0 line, or the trimmer. Now, once we're done with that process, what I like to do is use the skin machine. But first, we're going to make the skin line the same on both sides. So I'm going to tell you guys to go ahead and make that skin line till it comes around to about the occipital bone. Then we'll jump to the opposite side of the head and we'll match it up. It's going to be a lot easier to match it up rather than trying to go from one side and going all the way around. It's going to be very easy to come off track and make a little mistake. So once you've used your tools properly, you've gotten rid of all the hair. The reason why we want to make this all the way down to 5-0s is because it's the very next jump from skin. So all these jumps need to be really small in order for there to be no line of demarcation. In each step of my process, it's sort of like I'm stepping forward and then I'm stepping back if need be before I go into that next step. A lot of you guys are on step 5 when you're not even done with step 2. So we just want to make sure that we have all these steps in order, taken out properly. So I'm just going to go through and touch up his edge up, because I just want to kind of keep some of that darkness there, and we're going to go rocking and rolling with the Bronze Series 9. Once I got the Bronze Series 9, I want to be taking it very close to where I put that line and flipping it away like you see me doing in the video. There needs to be no line in between the skin and our 5-0 line. So we're going to stop just before we reach that. We're going to start releasing tension, and we're going to be flicking it and keeping it flat, and at times going with the grain, slightly against the grain, or using one of the corners. So when you get down low, you can push as hard as you want and you're going to be fine. Step 2, we are using the open taper line. So we have an open taper, and that's what we're going to use. We're going to use open taper, and I look like I forgot the closed taper, but that's okay. So in between these two lines, I have open taper and closed taper. What we're doing here is we have it wide open, and that's what I use to create that secondary line. I begin clicking it one time. I'm going to stay just below where I went with that line. Each time I click it, I'm going to stay below, below, below. So all I'm doing is I'm crisscrossing that motion, picking up all that hair, going against the grain, removing all of that little demarcation, and you're gonna see that your trimmer line is gonna start to dissipate, but it's not gonna go away entirely until you get to the last click. So these are great. You can easily click with them. One click, I go down, one click, I go down, repeating the crisscross motion, keeping it flat, and watching this start to disappear. As this starts to disappear, we can move on to our next step. So what we're going to do here for our last step, once we've gotten all that removed, we need to make sure that this trimmer line, or the 5-0 line, we need to make sure that that is gone. And if it is not gone, it's possible that you might have to return back to the trimmer to make sure that it's gone. Most of the time with the 50 cals, if you have them set up the right way, you're not going to need to return back to the trimmer. However, there is certain situations where you might have to do that. So again, step back before you step forward, and you're going to have less problems. And make sure that your step that you're currently working on is complete in its entirety before you move forward. So we can jump back with the trimmers, do a little bit of touch up if we need to, but we are going to be moving forward into the next step. So we've gotten our open taper and our closed taper out of the way. Our next step, we're going to be skipping the half guard, okay? And we're jumping right up to the number 1 open. Now, you're going to repeat the exact same process. We're just going to put the number 1 on, put the taper in the open position, and we're going to create that second guideline. Now, you might not see that guideline so much because his haircut was pretty fresh from the previous cut, and I didn't have to do that as much work with this one. But again, the crisscross motion is important, and it's important that I get that down to 1/8 of an inch, which is what a number 1 is, and it's also 3 millimeters. So when I have that all the way open, it's slightly longer than that, but I'm going to begin the same process with clicking it down, staying slightly below, maintaining that flush, flat anchor on his scalp, and bringing it down 1 click at a time. Each time I'm clicking, I'm moving down. Now, obviously, there's going to be a slight line of demarcation because we skipped the half guard, which is what we're going to return to once we've completed this process. So we're back to the half guard right after in this next step, and we are going to just simply repeat the same process. We begin with it open, and we're going to start closing it. Sometimes when you have it open, it'll get rid of that line of demarcation right away, and other times you'll have to work at it a little bit. So as I just go in with the half guard, I'm just lightly touching them, I'm crisscrossing, I'm using the corner, I'm keeping it flat, and I'm slightly clicking it down, clicking it down. Now, until you've clicked it down all the way, it might just go away before you even click it down all the way because there's a little bit of overlap here. Years ago when we used to cut hair, we didn't even have this guard, and we were able to get it done anyways. So as we go and we click it down, you're going to start to see that the whole thing starts to come out pretty fresh. Now, in the event that it does not come out perfect, what will we do? We will go back a step. So what is 1 step back from the 0.5 closed? That is the open taper. And that's the significance of this table here. And people tell me all the time, like sometimes I get lost, sometimes I have issues, sometimes I make mistakes. Well, this will solve all your issues. Being thorough and not making these little mistakes, not being on step 5 when you're not done with step 3, these are the kind of things that are really going to help you. Now, above the number 2, I'm finding it pretty easy to blend this hair in from the number 2 to the number 5. So I begin with the number 2 open and repeat the exact same steps. Start with it open, and you can begin closing it little by little. Why do we struggle when we are working down in these lower lengths? And the answer to that is there's a variety of reasons. 1, you don't understand the process. 2, you're not holding it flat. And 3 is kind of the wild card is the fact that the scalp is really light. It creates like a backlight, and that's what you're going to see all your mistakes in because it's contrasting on the dark hair with that light scalp. So what's basically happening is it's showing you all your little mistakes. However, once you get up into these longer lengths, you're not going to be able to see the mistakes as much, and you might even find yourself able to skip certain steps. So as I begin working my way back down, I went back to the 1.5, I went back to the 1, I did a little bit of touch up, and I'm overall pretty happy with the way this blend is turning out at this point. And that's what it's really all about. If you notice when I do my tutorials, when I do my work, if you watch me work, I don't do a whole lot of going back and detailing because I'm always advocating that you guys need to be thorough during your first go at this. So be thorough. There should be very minimal amounts of detailing left to do, and you really shouldn't have too many issues if you do it like that. Now, Obviously on this other side, I'm gonna do the same thing, but one thing that I did miss out and I didn't mention is the clipper over comb process. Now the clipper over comb process, I have a whole video on it. I poured my heart out in it. It's 30 minutes long, and if it's a technique that you're really struggling with, you guys are gonna wanna head over to the clipper over comb video, and I'll try to link it in the description so that you guys can check that out. But essentially all I'm gonna do here on this other side is I'm gonna repeat the exact same process which I did. I have it in the open taper position, and I've created that secondary guideline. I've began clicking it down, staying just under where I went with my previous guideline, clicking it down, staying just under where I went with my other guideline, and moving it down little by little. And at times you'll feel like, hey Ed, I should be working on this bottom piece. That's the part where the line is. Well, yes, that is the part where the line is. However, you are creating essentially a taper. So if I wanted to make it perfect, the hair has to get longer. This is longer hair, and this is all the way down the skin. So it has to gradually get longer. When you make mistakes, this is what this would look like. Now you can see there's a line, there's a line. This is all over the place. These are the kind of mistakes that you'll wind up making and you want to avoid. So that's why it's so important to be thorough and create that really smooth, seamless transition, that nice taper that comes out, and there is nothing wrong with it as the hair begins to get longer, as it travels up the head, and he's able to style the hair in whatever manner he sees fit, but you don't have any lines, any problems, any issues. Now on certain types of curly hair, yes, you might need to use some texturizing techniques. Yes, there might be a little bit more detail work. Even if you follow all your steps, certain people have concave in their head. Really skinny people have, you know, necks that are really hugging that hair, holding that in. And there's obviously certain situations where this haircut is probably not adequate for every single person, you know. We like to do skin fades, we like to show our worth, but in some cases it is not the best case for the client. If a client has all these kind of issues, when you begin to get into it, you might suggest to the client on his return visit that I think we should keep your hair a little bit longer on the sides because it will help you look better in the end. Now, any client is going to be happy with that. So let's just take a quick minute here. I'm just going to let this run, and I just want to talk to you guys about client consultations because I've talked about it in previous videos, and I just think it's important to mention. Now, there's a couple things that I hate to do in a barbershop. I hate to do double cuts. Okay, that means you cut the same customer 2 times, but you only got paid 1 time. And worse, a triple cut. Now, whether you want to take ownership of this or not, it's your fault. It's your fault if you're doing this because you didn't conduct a thorough enough consultation. So if you conduct a thorough consultation, you're going to avoid these things. These are some questions that you can ask to your client. 1, what don't you like about your hair? Oh, my hair just doesn't stand up. It doesn't spike up. I don't get volume. I see all these people that are able to style their hair and I can't. Great. You can handle that through a suggestion of product, and you can also handle that through cutting the hair a little bit differently, probably a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit more texture. 2, I don't like my hair because it's too greasy. It's this, it's that. There's an answer for all of these things, and sometimes it might be related to the cut, and other times it might be related to a product or a styling product or some kind of other advice. 3, how do you style your hair? Okay, this is like basic stuff, but a lot of people just get so focused on the cut they're going to execute that they don't even think to ask these things, and then later the client's like, yeah, you know, but I don't wear it to that side, I wear it to this side. Uh-oh, I don't wear it like that, I wear it like this. So let's head these things off before they become a problem, and you're going to have a lot more success. Now, what I like to do before I cut the top of any client's hair, especially a new client when I'm trying to work on something, I need to make sure that I make eye contact with them, I hold the hair up, I show them how much I'm planning on taking off, and then I cut it when they tell me, okay, take more, okay, take less. And in the end, what winds up to happen is it stops me from having any issues like, hey, you cut it too short. Well, you know, hey, I confirmed with you before I cut, and that's a really good tool. So confirm before you cut, ask them how they style it, ask them how they wear it, and ask them what problems they have with it, and you're gonna cut down on the double cuts probably to almost nothing. Obviously, there's difficult customers out there and just weird situations and stuff starts to happen, but on the whole, across the board, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. So that's something that I haven't really covered in other things, and I could ask you a couple other things. When you have clients that are being evasive and they're very difficult to understand what they really want, you might ask them, how long has it been since your last haircut? Because they're telling you a trim, and the trim is just this ambiguous statement that actually means nothing to you. And because a trim for one person could be, hey, this is a trim, a skin fade, or hey, this is a trim, I just want a little bit off. So you might ask them how often they got their haircut, however long it was since their last haircut, and they can simply tell you, hey, it's been a month. Okay, well, hair grows a ½ inch per month on average, so you can rest assured and be safe that you can cut about a ½ inch off if you feel like the client is telling the truth. So that's one of them things that you can definitely do that will help you out a little bit. And also, I just want to encourage you guys that if you like this channel and you like what's going on, all the tools that I'm using, I got links in the description. The caliber, the 50 cal, or any caliber products for that matter, if you enter code Eddie, you'll get 15% off plus free shipping domestic, and they'll ship those right out to you. And all the other tools that you guys see me using, I link below. All my favorite tools, my lighting, my cameras, and anything that you guys do to help out the channel, it really goes a long way, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Please click that subscribe button and hit that like button. It really helps me out, makes me become more relevant, and it helps me to grow the channel. Stick around because there's a lot of giveaways on the way, and I hope this goes to some lucky winner. Again, MMA Podcast, July 10th. That is next Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Tune in live for your chance to win the Oster Fast Feed Homefront Edition, also with a full set of double magnetic guards. It's going to be great. Some lucky winner is going to get it, and I really hope that he uses it. And I'm just going to let this video ride out. I hope you guys got something out of this. I'm out of here.